Hi, I'm Zane, and I never thought I'd be fighting a legal battle over my 10-year-old son's scars. But here I am, because some people don't understand that cruelty has consequences. It started 3 months ago when my son Marcus came home from school crying. I sat him down at the kitchen table, and my wife Sarah joined us. "What happened, buddy?" I asked, kneeling beside him. "Brandon called me Monster Face again," Marcus sobbed, touching the burn scars on his left cheek and neck. "He told everyone I'm ugly and that I should wear a mask." Sarah's face went pale. "Did you tell your teacher?" "She said boys will be boys and that I should ignore it," Marcus whispered. I felt my blood boil, but I kept my voice calm. "Those scars are from when I pulled you out of our burning apartment, Marcus. You were 5. Do you remember what I told you about them?" "That they show I'm a survivor," he said quietly. "Exactly. And they show how much I love you. Anyone who mocks them doesn't deserve your tears." The next day, I marched into Principal Anderson's office. He was a balding man in his 50s who looked perpetually exhausted. "Mr. Williams, please sit down," he said, gesturing to a chair. "I'd rather stand. My son is being bullied by Brandon Mitchell, and I want it stopped." Principal Anderson sighed. "Boys tease each other. It's part of growing up." "Teasing?" I slammed my hand on his desk. "This kid is calling my son a monster because of burn scars he got when I saved his life from a fire. That's not teasing, that's harassment." "I understand you're upset, but Brandon's parents are, well, they're very involved in the school. Mrs. Mitchell is on the PTA board." "So my son doesn't matter because some entitled parent writes checks?" "I didn't say that. I'll talk to Brandon." That conversation went nowhere. 2 weeks later, Marcus came home with a bruised arm. Brandon had shoved him during recess, calling him Freddy Krueger. I called Brandon's parents immediately. His mother, Karen, answered. "Mrs. Mitchell, this is Zane Williams, Marcus's father. We need to talk about your son bullying mine." "Bullying?" she laughed sharply. "Brandon told me your son is sensitive and can't take a joke. Maybe if Marcus wasn't so weird-looking, other kids would like him better." I gripped the phone so tight I thought it might crack. "My son has scars from a fire. Your son is harassing him over something traumatic." "Well, perhaps you should teach Marcus to have thicker skin. Kids notice differences. That's not Brandon's fault." "Your son physically pushed mine. That's assault." "Oh, please, don't be dramatic. Boys roughhouse. If you can't handle normal childhood interactions, maybe you should homeschool your precious little snowflake." She hung up. I stood there shaking with rage. Sarah came over and touched my arm. "We're going to need help with this," she said firmly. "This isn't going away on its own." "You're right. I know exactly who to call." The next morning, I contacted Michael Chen, a family attorney I'd met through work. We sat in his downtown office, and I explained everything. "Do you have documentation of the bullying?" Michael asked, taking notes. "Marcus has been keeping a journal at my suggestion. Every incident, every name, every teacher who dismissed it." "Smart. What about witnesses?" "Other kids have seen it, but they're afraid to speak up. Brandon's popular, and his mother runs the PTA." Michael leaned back. "The power dynamic. Classic. Here's what we're going to do. First, you're going to request a formal meeting with the school board. Second, Marcus needs to start recording incidents on his phone, audio only, but enough to document the pattern." "Is that legal?" "In our state, one-party consent for recording. Perfectly legal. Also, I want you to send certified letters to the Mitchells and the school documenting every incident. Create a paper trail." Over the next month, we built our case. Marcus recorded Brandon calling him Scarface and burn victim in the hallway. Another student, Jamie, finally agreed to testify after Brandon started targeting her too. Then came the incident that changed everything. Marcus was in the locker room after gym class when Brandon and two friends cornered him. "Hey, monster, did your dad try to cook you?" Brandon taunted, pushing Marcus against the lockers. "Leave me alone," Marcus said, his phone recording in his pocket. "What's wrong? Gonna cry? Gonna tell your daddy? Maybe he should have left you in the fire." That night, when Marcus played me the recording, I had to leave the room. Sarah found me in the garage, sitting in my car. "He said I should have left him to burn," I choked out. "A 10-year-old kid said that to my son." Sarah opened the car door and hugged me. "We're going to destroy them legally. Michael said we have enough now, right?" More than enough. Harassment, assault, intentional infliction of emotional distress. And the school's liable for creating a hostile environment. Then let's do this. Let's make sure Brandon's parents understand exactly what their son has done. I called Michael immediately. "I've got a recording you need to hear," I said. After listening, Michael was silent for a long moment. "This is damning. I'm requesting an emergency school board meeting. And Zane? I want Marcus to show his scars. His actual scars. People need to see what that child is mocking. Marcus hates showing them. I know, but this is how we win. The board needs to understand the depth of this cruelty." That weekend, I sat Marcus down. "Buddy, I need to ask you to do something really hard. At the school board meeting, I need you to show them your scars and tell them how you got them." Marcus's eyes filled with tears. "Everyone will stare." "They'll stare with understanding, not mockery. They'll see you as brave, and most importantly, they'll see exactly what Brandon's been attacking you for. Can you be brave one more time?" He nodded slowly. "If it makes it stop, I'll do it." The school board meeting was packed. The Mitchells sat in the front row, Karen with her perfect hair and designer suit, and David, Brandon's father, a stocky man I'd never met. Principal Anderson looked nervous. Michael stood up. "Good evening. I'm representing Zane Williams and his son Marcus, who have been failed by this school's anti-bullying policies. I'd like to start by having Marcus share his story." Marcus walked to the front, and I followed for support. He stood at the microphone, small and scared. "Hi, I'm Marcus. I'm 10. When I was 5, our apartment caught fire. My dad ran through the flames and pulled me out, but I got burned." His voice shook. "I have scars on my face and neck. For 3 months, Brandon Mitchell has called me monster, Freddy Krueger, Scarface, and burn victim. He pushed me. He told me my dad should have left me in the fire." He slowly turned his head, showing the scarred left side of his face and neck. The room went completely silent. David Mitchell suddenly stood up, his face drained of color. He stared at Marcus's scars, then at his wife, then back at Marcus. "Karen," he said, his voice barely a whisper, "you told me this was about normal kid teasing." "It is," Karen hissed. "Sit down." "Those are burn scars," David said louder. "Our son has been mocking a child with burn scars? From a fire?" "David, not here." "I'm a firefighter," David shouted, his voice cracking. "I pull kids out of fires. I see these injuries, and our son—" He couldn't finish. Michael played the recording. Brandon's voice filled the room. "Maybe he should have left you in the fire." David Mitchell sat down heavily, his head in his hands. Several board members looked horrified. Karen stood up. "This is a witch hunt. My son made some mistakes, but he's just a child." "Who you encouraged," I said, standing. "When I called you, you told me to give Marcus thicker skin. You said he was weird looking. You suggested I homeschool him because your son can't behave like a decent human being." I never. I recorded that call. Massachusetts is a one-party consent state. Michael pressed play again, Karen's voice dripping with contempt. Maybe if Marcus wasn't so weird-looking, other kids would like him better. The room erupted. Board members started talking over each other. David Mitchell looked at his wife like he'd never seen her before. "You said that?" he asked quietly. "You said that about a burn victim?" "I was protecting our son." "You were teaching him cruelty." David stood again. "Mr. Williams, I am so sorry. I had no idea. I worked 60-hour weeks and trusted my wife to handle school issues. I failed your son. I failed my own son by not knowing what he was becoming." "Your apology doesn't fix what Marcus has endured," I said flatly. Principal Anderson tried to intervene. "Perhaps we can all calm down and—" "And what?" Michael cut him off. "Ignore 3 months of documented harassment? Ignore the fact that multiple teachers dismissed this as boys being boys? Ignore that you told Mr. Williams that the Mitchells' PTA involvement made this complicated?" Anderson paled. "I never said that." "I have witnesses who will testify that you did. This school created a hostile environment for a child with disabilities. Yes, his scarring qualifies under ADA. You're looking at a federal lawsuit if this isn't resolved immediately." The school board went into emergency session. 2 hours later, they emerged with a decision. Board President Dr. Rebecca Huang addressed the room. "After reviewing the evidence presented tonight, the board has voted unanimously. Brandon Mitchell is expelled effective immediately. Furthermore, we are recommending that the Williams family pursue a restraining order, which the school will support. Principal Anderson, you're on administrative leave pending an investigation into your handling of this matter." Anderson started to protest, but Dr.
Huang held up her hand. "You failed a student. Period. We'll discuss your future separately." Karen Mitchell shot to her feet. "You can't expel Brandon. He's a child." "A child who committed assault and harassment," Dr. Huang replied. "He also violated our anti-bullying policy 17 documented times. Mrs. Mitchell, your behavior tonight and in recorded calls shows you enabled and encouraged this. We're also banning you from all PTA activities and school grounds. Any violation will result in trespassing charges." David Mitchell remained seated, staring at his hands. After the board left, he approached me slowly. "Mr. Williams, I know my apology means nothing right now, but I am truly sorry. I'm filing for divorce. I can't be married to someone capable of that cruelty. And Brandon is going to therapy, military school if needed. What he did, what I allowed by my absence, is unforgivable." I looked at him for a long moment. "You're right. Your apology means nothing. You weren't there. You didn't see Marcus cry himself to sleep. You didn't hear him ask me if he was a monster. I don't forgive you, and I don't forgive your family. The restraining order stands." He nodded, tears in his eyes. "I understand. I just wanted you to know that I see my son clearly now, and I'm going to fix him before he becomes his mother." After they left, Michael clapped me on the shoulder. "The school's insurance company will be calling about a settlement. I'm thinking 6 figures for emotional distress, plus Marcus's therapy costs covered for life." Sarah hugged Marcus tight. "It's over, baby. You never have to see Brandon again." Marcus looked up at me. "Did I do good, Dad?" "You did perfect, buddy. You stood up for yourself the right way." A week later, we met with the school's attorneys in Michael's conference room. They offered $200,000 plus all therapy costs and a public apology from the school district. "Not enough," Michael said immediately. $300,000, therapy costs, and a mandatory anti-bullying training program implemented district-wide, funded by the district. Also, a formal apology published in the local paper. The school attorney consulted with his clients via phone. Agreed. But you sign an NDA. No NDA, I said firmly. Other parents need to know how this school failed their kids. This story goes public. They reluctantly agreed. 2 weeks later, the settlement check cleared. Marcus started therapy with Dr. Sarah Patel, a trauma specialist. In her office, Dr. Patel asked Marcus how he felt about everything. Lighter, he said. Like I don't have to hide anymore. Your scars tell a story of survival, Dr. Patel said gently. Your dad's heroism and your strength. Never let anyone make you ashamed of that. At home that evening, the four of us, me, Sarah, Marcus, and his little sister Emma, sat at dinner. Dad, kids at my new school asked about my scars today, Marcus said. My heart clenched. What did you say? I told them the truth, that there was a fire and you saved me. And one kid said that was the coolest thing he'd ever heard. He asked if you were like a superhero. I felt tears prick my eyes. What did you say? I said you're better than a superhero because you're real. Sarah reached over and squeezed my hand. 3 months after the settlement, I ran into David Mitchell at a grocery store. He looked older, tired. Mr. Williams, he said quietly, I wanted you to know. Brandon's in therapy. He wrote a letter apologizing to Marcus. I'm not asking you to read it or respond. I just wanted you to know he's learning about consequences and empathy. Good for him, I said flatly, but that letter goes in the trash. Marcus doesn't need his apology. Marcus needs to never think about Brandon again. David nodded. I understand. For what it's worth, seeing Marcus that night changed me. I quit my overtime shifts. I'm present now. I won't fail another child, especially not my own. That's between you and Brandon. My family moved on. He walked away, and I finished my shopping. That night, tucking Marcus into bed, he asked me something unexpected. Dad, do you think Brandon will be okay? I think that's not our concern anymore, buddy. Our concern is making sure you're okay. Are you? Yeah, Marcus smiled, touching his scars without flinching. I am. Looking back, I don't regret any of it. The legal battle, the public exposure, the uncompromising stance. Some people think I should have accepted David Mitchell's apology or let Brandon's letter reach Marcus. But here's what I learned. Kindness to bullies is cruelty to victims. Marcus didn't need to forgive anyone. He needed to know that when the world hurt him, his parents would fight back with everything we had. He needed to see that his scars weren't shameful. They were proof of love and survival. And most importantly, he needed to know that he mattered more than anyone's comfort or reputation. The school implemented the anti-bullying program. Principal Anderson retired. Karen Mitchell moved to another state. And Marcus? He's thriving, confident, and completely unburdened by the people who tried to break him. Have you ever had to fight for your child when institutions failed them? Would you have accepted the apologies or stood firm like I did? Like and subscribe for more stories about people who refused to be victims and fought back the right way.